Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome back to class this week. Uh, People are still kind of logging in, but I'll get started now. Couple reminders before we do get started. Um, I have a few students who haven't completed their assignments, so please make sure you complete the first two assignments as soon as you can. My profile was due January 14th, and the learning styles assignment was due January 21st. So make sure you get those done as soon as possible, because it's still kind of the beginning of the semester. And you guys are, probably this is your first semester. I'll give you a bit of extra time, but don't leave this too long. Excuse me. The marks for your first assignment have been released. You can check it on the college's website, or you can look at your feedback here. Okay, so just give me 1 second here and we'll get started. Okay. Sorry guys, just making sure everything is set up. Okay, so for today's class, we're going to kind of look at two topics, two very simple topics. One is only a few slides, and then the next topic is a little longer, but really interesting. So the first topic we're going to look at today is goal setting. So, how to set short-term or long-term goals for yourself. If this is your first class, you should have, been registered a while ago, but if you haven't been to a class yet, just remember that the videos are for you guys to look at your own time, and I'll be going through the PowerPoints. So the video here, you guys can check out on your own time. It really doesn't make sense for me to show you a YouTube video over Zoom. So let's get started with goal setting. Oops, that's weird. Okay, hold on. Try something else. There we go. Okay. Let me just make sure my screen is being shared. All right, so this section is all about setting goals. So, you can ask yourself, do you have big plans for your life, for this year, for this week? I mean, it could even be for today. Maybe you want to go to the gym, or you want to eat healthy, or maybe you want to get an A in this course, or you want to graduate in 3 years. These are different types of goals you can set. So what's really important here is, setting that goal, asking yourself, how will you achieve that goal? How do you know that you've achieved it? There needs to be some way to quantify it. And then, give yourself a timeline. So setting goals, especially as a student, can really help you achieve success. So, I mean, there's I guess you could classify goals as short-term or long-term. Short-term could be, today, this week, or in the next 6 months. So a short-term goal, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, could be today I'm going to go to the gym, or today I will work on my math assignment. It could also be, 3 or 4 months. So I want to get an A in chemistry. I want to get an A in mathematics. Long-term goals are obviously a little longer, so it could be 6 months, 1 year, it could be 5 years. So it could be, I want to be a doctor. I want to be an engineer. That's a long-term goal. So there's a video here. Again, I'm not going to show you YouTube videos on Zoom. It kind of defeats the purpose. But you can click on these links. So if anytime, when you're doing your assignment or you're reviewing the chapter, you can click on this link above and it will bring you to the video. Now, this is really important because you have a very quick assignment this week. Very quick. I'm going to ask you, and I'll show you this in a little bit, but I'm going to ask you to give me 3 goals, okay? It could be long-term, it could be short-term. You need to make sure that your goals are SMART. That's an acronym. So a SMART goal is specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, it's realistic, and it's timely. Let me just see something here. Yeah, okay. So again, there's a video on this that you guys can watch, but let's talk about what each of these letters mean. So first one, specific. A specific goal is, it's not ambiguous. It's not, I want to lose weight. You could specifically say, I want to lose 3 kilograms. Or another one is, I want to get an A in math. Well, an A, that's specific. An A would be above an 80. The next thing you need to do is make sure your goals are measurable. So can you actually measure that? You could go back to the weight. Very easy to measure your weight. You just step on the scales. You might say by the end of the day, I will have written 2 pages for my report. Well, you can measure that. Did you write 2 pages? Okay, so you need to set up a goal that you can measure. Attainable. So it needs to be attainable and realistic are very much related. Can you do this, and is it realistic for you? So if you set the goal, I want to lose 10 kilograms this week, that's not really attainable or realistic. It's, losing 10 kilograms in a week is definitely not healthy. If you said, I want to learn 10 new words a day, that's easy. Much easier than I want to learn 100 new words a day. So the concept of attainable and realistic just means, is it possible? Is it realistic? And then the last one there is timely. You have to set a time limit for your goal, and it has to be, well, again, a realistic time limit. So you wouldn't say, I want to, well, you could kind of say, I want to lose 10 kilograms. Well, what timeline will you give yourself? Will it be a month, 3 months? So yeah, your goals, you need to be specific. You need to be able to measure it. It needs to be realistic, and there has to be some time limit. And again, the time limit should be obviously realistic or attainable. So there you go. So here's an example. I want to get an A in SD1570. This is this is a good goal, or it is a SMART goal. You don't really need to put a timeline in here because the course will end in April. So when you say I want to get an A in SD1570, well, the course ends in April. You want to get an A, so it's measurable, and it's definitely realistic. So the next question on the bottom is, how would you achieve this goal? How are you going to do this? Well, you will, study, complete your assignments on time, come to class, go look for help if you need it at the library or something. So yeah, this is a pretty good, straightforward goal. So now don't get worried about this. This is a more complex goal setting template for yourself. So you give yourself a goal, you give yourself a time, how you're going to achieve it, and then a timeline, and then how do you know you have achieved this action. So let's say I want to lose 10 kilograms by April. So you have a start date. You would say January 24th. You have an end date. You could say April 30th. Actions to achieve the goal, eat healthy, go to the gym 3 times a week, things like that. And then how do you know if you've achieved this action? Well, this is an easy one. You can weigh yourself. Now, for you guys, and that's not all we're doing today, don't worry. But for you guys, I want you to write or submit to me in Dropbox 3 goals. So what will it look like for you? Well, your assignment information is here. So this is a very easy assignment. It's worth 6% of your final grade. And you need to give me 3 goals, and it needs to fulfill the SMART criteria. So what you need to do, and I hope this will share on my screen. Just give me 1 second. Just gonna make sure it's sharing. You just have to type in 3 goals here. That's it. I'm not, you don't have to worry about the timeline and actions to achieve the goals. You just have to list 3 goals below and make sure that they fulfill the SMART requirements. So the example here is to lose weight. That's not a SMART goal. You're not setting a timeline, or you're not being specific. A good way to phrase that is, I want to lose 5 kilograms during the month of September. That is a SMART goal. Don't use this example. If losing weight is one of your goals, you can write that, but don't use my example. You would obviously say maybe you want to lose 12 kilograms and lose it by April. Yeah, that I would accept that, but don't just copy mine. Okay, so that's really easy. You could do that assignment today in a few minutes. Think of things in your life that you want. You want to save money, you eat healthier, you want to get an A in mathematics, maybe you want to walk your dog 3 times a week. There's so many goals you could put here. Okay, so that's part 1 of today's class. The next part of today's class. Any questions on that before I move forward? I got one more topic we're going to do. Does anybody have any questions on that? You can let me know in the chat. And of course, if there are no questions, no problem. It's pretty straightforward. All right, cool. So the next part, now this is going to take me a little longer, but this is actually a really extremely useful section for you guys at the college. If you are in any report writing courses, communications, this is going to really help you for your future projects. Okay, is that clear? That's every week, okay? It will not change. So on Sunday morning, we'll have class. Tuesday, you guys can work on your assignments in what we call a computer lab. If it wasn't COVID-19, we would be on campus, but you guys are mostly working from home. But some of you might be going into the college, which is cool. You can find a computer lab in there. All right, so what about this unit? Let's look at this PowerPoint here. Okay, so again, like I mentioned, you guys might be in some sort of report writing course at the college. Most of you will have to do this. I know the engineering students do this. They have a project at the end of their 3 years. So in order to do any of this, you need to be able to research. So this section is about research skills and kind of taking good notes. So first things first, what is research? I mean, obviously research is when you look up something, you investigate for information and materials to look for facts and reach conclusions. So if I wanted to do research on, I don't know, I could do research on like the like gravity or the solar system. You might have to research, look for papers, look for information, because, you know, I don't know the distance from the Earth to the sun, but I could very easily look that up. If you were doing medical science research, maybe you wanted to look at the effect of yeah, high cholesterol on the body. Again, I wouldn't know that. You'd have to look that up. So research is investigating or looking for materials so you can learn facts and reach conclusions. So where do you search? Now, let's be honest, the first thing most of you guys probably do if you're looking for information is Google, right? That's what the first thing I do before I even look at, you know, library catalogs or scientific databases is I use Google. We're going to look at all kind of three of these places to search. My goal for today is I want to show you how to specifically how to use the college's library website. Is really, really good. And it can all be done online. It's so incredibly useful. Okay, so Google. What's good about Google? Well, it's easy, right? You can use it on your phone, your tablet, your laptops. I mean, everybody here, I'm sure, has used Google at some point in your life. Google is extremely useful because it searches everything: newspapers, websites, Wikipedia, journals, blogs, even if you wanted images, or I think my favorite is YouTube videos. You know, really, really easy to look up things on Google. And it kind of seems to know what you're thinking as well, which is a little creepy, but it's a really intuitive and easy to use search engine. The problem with Google, and again, let me be honest, Google is my favorite. You know, internet research is definitely one of my first things I do. It can give you too much information. Some things you can't always access. So like if you look up or research a topic and it gives you a scientific journal, a lot of those you can't actually access without an account. And the good thing about our library is we have access to all of these. So you guys as students have access, not to all of them, but to many, many different academic and professional scientific journals. The other problem with Google, same thing with anything, any social media, Twitter, Facebook, it's not always reliable. Just because somebody says something on a YouTube video, or you find find a blog about something, it doesn't mean it's true. Not always. So you kind of have to use Google Smart, you know, make sure you're looking at good information. All right, cool. Now, one of the better forms of research, and when you guys do a project, or you do, excuse me, you do like a paper in your communications course, for example, you're definitely going to want to use your library research. Your instructors will be looking for sources or references, and your references need to be reliable, academic, you know, true. So library research is really useful. The information is usually peer reviewed, which means you know, other people have looked at this and accepted the information in that. And you can look for lots of resources in your subject area. And what I mean by that is, if you search for something very specific, like if you guys are a medical science student and you find a medical journal on Google that has the information you need, Google, it won't really let you in. The website says you need to be signed in. The library at the college has access to many, many, many different journals and databases. The disadvantages of library research are it can be intimidating. It can be hard to use. You need to know how to use it. It's not as easy as just typing into Google. And this is kind of the point of today. I'm going to show you how to do this. The link to the library's website is on the bottom of this PowerPoint, but you can find it through the CNAQ website. So when you open up the CNAQ website, you can click on the link for the library. You can also find it, again, there's the link at the bottom of this. So the website here, completely obviously free to use. It searches everything in the library, and that means anything we have literally in the building or online. And a lot of the information you guys can find online. The library is very, very robust. It's interdisciplinary, which means we have access to information in so many fields: business, IT, medical science, engineering. And there are limiters or ways to refine your search so you get really good results. Well, inshallah, you get very good results. So the library itself has access to over 80 databases. Again, these are like academic papers, scientific journals, things like that. They can cover a wide range of subject areas, but I mean, again, I'm a little science biased because I'm typically teaching science, but you can find things on accounting, web security, medical science, X-ray technician, like there's so many subjects that you can search for in the library. And you can find that when you go to the website. So here, this is up here is a screenshot of like the whole page. You can find it by clicking on articles. So articles would be the access to online journals and things like that. Now, another really very useful part of the college's library is you can actually request help from a librarian. You can book an appointment with the librarian by clicking here on that green link. So if any of you guys are doing a difficult assignment for engineering or business, IT, and you need one-on-one help, you want to see the librarian, and you can book an appointment with them. Now, with COVID restrictions, the library, I think, is open, but there's not a lot going on in there. I think you can even meet them at home on Zoom. So you don't even have to go to the college to get one-on-one help with the librarian. All right, now, how do you use this? This does apply for Google as well. How do you search for something? It's amazing the different results you get using different search terms and methods. There's a lot of things that, 10, 15 years ago, I didn't know I could do with a Google search or a library search. So I'm going to kind of give you some tips and tricks, and we're almost done, kind of. There's not too much left. So when you're searching for something, you have to think about keywords, synonyms. Those are words that mean the same thing. Different words that mean the same thing. And you also want to think about technical terms. So if you were going to write a paper about how does social media affect teenagers' mental health, well, that's a broad question. And you could definitely type that question into Google. That's kind of why Google is so good. The results you get, however, are not always reliable. If you type that in on the college's website, it's the library website, it's not specific enough, or the terms aren't really going to help you, or the phrase isn't going to help you. So you want to think about terms you can use. So, if you want to first look up social media, you could look up specifically Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or just the word social networking. Now, when you're thinking about mental health, you can be more specific. So you could search for articles about Facebook and anxiety, or Facebook and stress. You need to use specific terms. For teenagers, you don't have to use the word teenagers. You could say young adults, youth. So there's a lot of words you can use to change your search. So when I'm writing a paper and I'm searching for something, I often try many, many, many different searches, many phrases. Now, there's another trick, and this is something I wish I knew when I was in high school. I'm not that old, so there was Google when I was in school, and of course, library databases, but I never learned about this concept of Boolean operators. Boolean operators is kind of a mathematical term, but it's words like and, or not. So it's grouping together or separating things, and you kind of get results based on that. So just using the word and in your search will completely change what results you get. And I'll show you on the next slide what that actually does. Using the word or will also completely change your results. And then, of course, if you do not want to look up a word, you can use the word not. So it's really interesting how and or not will exclude or change the results of your search. So what do these do? Well, I have these little like Venn diagrams here for using the words and or not in your results. So if you typed into Google or the college's website, library website, puppy and kitten, what it's going to do is search the database for all the results that include both terms, puppy and kitten. So the results you get will have to have both terms in there. If you use the word or, puppy or kitten, it will search for either term and give you results based on that. So for example, you could search for anxiety, and then you could say and Facebook or Twitter. So anxiety, Facebook or Twitter. What that will do is it will give you results that include the term anxiety and then have Facebook or Twitter in it. So it's a really amazing way to kind of refine your searches. And then not. So not will exclude a term. So if you want to look up puppies and not kittens, you like, so your results, you don't want any information about kittens, you could say puppy, not kitten. If you wanted to look up anxiety, but not depression, you could say anxiety, not depression, and it will give you results based on that. Some other tips and tricks is you can use quotation marks around a phrase to search for the words exactly as they are in that order. So if you type into Google or a library search social media, it will look for the words social and media. But if you put them in quotations, it will search exactly for those terms. You can also use brackets or parentheses to group together terms. So I could say, bracket social media or Instagram or Twitter. So any of those terms, close my bracket. So it's going to search for all of those and then teenagers. So it's really interesting. And you can kind of mess around with this. It's kind of fun to change your search or your search information to look at the different results you get. And another one, which I don't use as much, this is more useful for library databases because Google is pretty smart when you search for words, but you can use an asterisk, that's hard to say, to replace one or more characters. So what I mean, if you were looking for teen, but you also wanted teens, teenager, you could put a star there. So teen asterisk, I call it a star. It will search for anything that has the words teen in it. So teen, teenagers, teens, very, very useful. A lot of this information, guys, is more specific to the library search because, again, Google has this crazy algorithm that kind of knows what you're looking for. All right, we're almost done. You can use filters on the college's website. Google also has filters, but you can use filters to narrow down your results as well. So I don't know if you're like me and you use like Talabat or Carriage to order food, but sometimes, if I'm looking for pizza or sushi, I can refine my results to only look at, like, say I wanted Japanese food. I could filter my results or filter my Talabat app to only show me restaurants that serve Japanese food. And that really kind of helps narrow down all the options on Talabat or Carriage. Well, with a search, you can also use filters to narrow down your results. You can filter the type of content, the publication date. So maybe you need a result that was published in the last 5 years or 3 years. If I was searching for mental health and Instagram, 12 years ago might not really apply. You'd probably want to look for something more recent. You can filter it so that they're all scholarly or peer reviewed, or you can look for full text online, meaning you don't have to get a book or access anything. You can get it all completely online. And you can see kind of on the left there, it's a little hard to see on the screen, especially if you guys are using a small screen, but you can see some of the ways to refine your search there. So on the left, for example, you could only look for newspaper articles. You could only look for scholarly or peer-reviewed documents. You could refine your search to be within the last 5 years. And it even gives you related words that can help with your searches as well. All right, how are we all doing? Everybody, anybody falling asleep yet? Does anybody have any questions about this? Okay, perfect. Sorry, I'm just commenting it in the chat. All right, cool. All right, everybody doing good. All right. I know on a Sunday morning, maybe this isn't the most interesting thing, but it is extremely useful. I kind of wish I knew some of this information when I was, and I hate saying this, but when I was your age, when I was a student. I think I was in my 3rd year of school, university, before I knew how to actually use a library. I kind of stuck with Google, and my results weren't really that good. So this is, it's a little dry, but very interesting, especially if you guys are 1st-year students. You're going to be doing lots of research, I'm sure. Now this is a very important part. Don't just search for one thing and take the results and write a paper. I mean, you need to do more than one search. You might have to do 2, 3, 5. I mean, sometimes when I write a paper, I'm doing 10, 15 searches. Research takes time. You're not, going to strike gold on you might on your first try, but typically I need to alter my search, refine my search by using proper terms. When you're researching, make sure you're taking good notes. The college takes plagiarism very seriously. And if you're not familiar with the term plagiarism, it means like to copy or steal one's work. And I don't mean like you're copying from your lab partner. I mean, you're taking information from a journal or an academic source, even like Wikipedia, and not referencing it properly. You have to always use your own words, and any data or information you've researched, you need to reference. So what I do when I find good information, I keep track of where I get it. So, I might have a Word document. I'll write down the website. I make a note of, where it is. If it's in a journal, maybe it's on page 2, and this will help you accurately cite your sources. Your communications instructors, I assume most of you will be taking communication at some point. They will give you more information on how to cite your sources. You guys in high school might have used MLA or APA. These are ways to cite sources, but that's not something we're going to look at. Don't worry. All right, now, this is really important, especially in this day and age where there's so much misinformation coming out. You see it all the time on Twitter, and even in your WhatsApp messages or Facebook. People are sending links that have no truth to them. They're not reliable. They're not true. You might have heard the term fake news that has been used in the last few years. There's a way to kind of look at this, or look at your resources so you know that they are good or reliable. And it's another acronym. So currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. Sorry, just want to see what's coming up. We're almost done. Don't worry. So you want to make sure your information is relevant to what you're researching. You want to make sure the place where you get it is authoritative, like a scientific journal, not your uncle on Facebook. Um, so the currency is, the timeliness of the info. If I was looking at mental health and Instagram, or mental health and Facebook, I wouldn't want to take information from 30 years ago because they didn't exist back then. So make sure currency, that is the timeliness of the info. Is it relevant? Is it recent? Not relevant, is it recent is what I meant to say. The relevance is how that information fits your needs. The authority is the source where you get that information. Again, is it like a peer-reviewed academic journal? Accuracy is how correct is that information? Is it true? And the purpose is the reason the info exists. There's a lot of misinformation out there that serves a purpose to confuse people or to spread information. Like you hear a lot of information about vaccines, right? And the purpose is to spread misinformation about vaccinations. So you need to look at all of these things when you're researching. And this is why Google can be a little challenging. The sources or databases on the library's website are typically very authoritative and accurate, and they don't have a hidden agenda. They're not trying to push any misinformation on you. All right, so there you go. That's basically it. There's one more thing I'll show you, I think. Yeah, one more thing. Yep. Okay. LinkedIn Learning is something I've been using a lot. The library also has access to this. So you guys as students at the college can access LinkedIn Learning. It used to be called lynda.com, and it has completely free, well, once you're a member of this and the college gives you access to this, it gives you access to 13,000 or more expert-led courses. So these are, again, free if you're a member, courses that you can do online. You get certificates when you complete a course. They'll give you recommendations for courses. There's practice quizzes, and you can look at them anytime. So a couple years ago, I was really interested in like graphic design or how to use Adobe InDesign, this program. I went into LinkedIn Learning, and there was, hundreds of courses, or maybe not hundreds, but many courses on this that I could do for practice. And they had videos, practice assignments. It's really interesting. So that's another good resource. Okay, so that's it for me now. Before everybody leaves, I want to give you an update of what you need to do this week and a couple course reminders, and then that's it. I didn't set up a poll for today's chat, but if you feel confident or about the same, that's okay. If you still, number 3 here, if you still have lots and lots of questions on this, and again, specifically, I mean how to search for something, you definitely want to see the librarian at the college. So the link is here at the bottom. They have a research process guide. You can meet with a librarian over Zoom or on campus, and they can really show you. So like you could go to the librarian and say, I need information on the effects of Instagram on teenagers' mental health. And they will explicitly help you to do that and kind of help you search for that. So the library is a fantastic resource for you guys to use. All right, so that's it for the class. We're done with the information this week. I just want to give you guys some reminders about some things. Okay, so you have 2 things to do for me this week. One of them is extremely quick. That's why there's 2 things this week. The other is a quiz on D2L. So let me kind of show you how to do this. Now, first things first, all of this information is over here in your calendar. So upcoming events. Okay, you can click on all of these in upcoming events, but you have two things to do. The first thing you have to do is the goal setting assignment. So this assignment here, you can submit that to Dropbox. That will end Thursday at 11:30 p.m. Okay, and again, for anybody who came in late, the goal setting assignment is very quick, very easy, should only take you 5 minutes or so. You need to type in 3 goals in this Word document and send it to me. Okay, so type in 3 goals here and then send that to me in the Dropbox. Don't email me these things. You have to put them in the Dropbox, because once they're in Dropbox, that's how I grade them. Okay, so that's the first thing to do. And the second thing you need to do for me is this. It's an assignment, but what it is actually a D2L quiz. So from the lecture today, if you need more help, you can watch the video, but you need to do this quiz for me. You can access it here. You can click on this link. You can access it through the calendar, or you can access it up here under assignments. It would be under quizzes. The easiest thing to probably do is to just click on this. Now, let me pretend I'm a student. Okay, so content, actually, honestly, the easiest way to do this is probably just click on it in your calendar. So I'm viewing as a student. Here's the quiz. It's due again Thursday at midnight. You can click on that and it will bring you right to the quiz. It gives you information on how to do it. So I click on that and there you go. There's the instructions. It's a very, very short quiz. It only takes 30 minutes. It's obviously open book, so you can, have the PowerPoint open. I do recommend just maybe reading the PowerPoint one more time or watching the video before you start the quiz. Okay. Cool. So does anybody, oh, and the other thing I was going to mention, sorry, the other thing, I know this is probably your first semester at the college and things are a little weird right now. Don't forget to do, your prior assignments. They were due a few, like last week or the week before, but I got a lot of students who didn't submit them. So don't forget to do these. I won't take any late marks if you haven't done it yet, because this is, of course, your first course, but make sure you get all of your assessments done as soon as possible. Okay, guys, that's it for me. Does anybody have any questions on that, or are you guys good?